Thank you for choosing King 5. I'm photojournalist Joseph Huerta. In the next hour, you'll see how our Facing Race team has led conversations about race, mental health, LGBTQ+ issues, and disabilities, giving you a unique perspective from often unheard voices. Join us in the special segment, Exploring Identities.
My name is Chelsea Vanessa Hernandez, and I'm a producer at King 5. Both of my parents are from El Salvador and immigrated to the United States at a really young age. Most of my life, I've been surrounded by a very diverse group of people, most of them who identify as Hispanic or Latino. Over the years, I've heard many people talk about what is the right or wrong way to call people of Spanish-speaking descent. Whether it's Latino, Hispanic, Latinx, you name it, it's created a divide in our communities. So for this first identity piece, I wanted to explore the different reasons why people prefer certain terminologies over others, and at the end, really understand how our similarities outweigh our differences.
Okay, go ahead and sit. Have you done something like this before?
I've never done this before in my life.
Where do I look?
Right in the center? Okay.
And then if you could just clap for me.
So all the lights is a lot. I want to be like, you know.
Let's start off by saying your name and your identity.
My name's Edgar Ramirez.
Jolinda Hernandez.
Andres Calzada.
Mi nombre es Hilda Magaña,
Silvia Rubio.
I identify as Latino.
I personally identify as Chicana.
Latina.
Technically, I could be identified as Chicana.
My identity, I guess Hispanic. Would I be more specific? Mexican?
Why do you identify as Latino?
It's sad to say, but it's kind of what I was told to identify as.
Every time I had to choose on a piece of paper what I was, the only option that was there for me was Latino.
Someone says, I am Chicano by conviction.
We all just kind of congregated together and we just kind of called ourselves Hispanic.
Sometimes we have differences in a household and we identify different.
Can you name some of these terms that you've heard?
A Mexican American.
Chicana, Chicano.
Latino, Latinx.
Latine is the newest one that I've heard for, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Latine.
Students, kids that are coming out of college are the ones that I actually hear say Latinx.
Do you think it could all get just a little too confusing?
Absolutely. It's very confusing.
The demographic has changed so much, so the terms have multiplied in conjunction.
A lot of people, they're kind of scared sometimes to express themselves, especially on topics regarding gender, sex, ethnic background.
We have to use the right label, because if you don't use the right label, you may be shamed, you may be canceled, you may, whatever the term is in the moment.
Do you think there is a correct term to call the Latino community as a whole?
I think the idea of identifying a whole group of people, it's in this box.
I think it's too diverse and so complex. I don't think there's one term that can identify everyone.
That when you're put into a box, that can be dangerous.
People are more than just their labels.
We don't need someone else to identify as. It's personal.
I think the younger generation will move more towards Latinx because I'm seeing that now.
We're not going to find an answer today, tomorrow. I think it's a conversation that needs to continue.
I feel like in the next generation, people should be proud of who they are.
I hope the Latino community will stay proud and true to the traditions that have been going on for years.
Are you proud of your identity?
I'm very proud to identify myself as Chicana, yes.
Absolutely. I would never want to be anything else but me and have my roots and my culture and my ancestors be who they are.
I dearly love who I am and where I come from.
I'm proud to be from a Mexican household because it forms my identity, my values.
The tradition, the culture, it's part of who I am. I'm proud to be part of it.
Hello, my name is Brittany Brumfield. I'm a producer here at King 5. For many people of color, the Black experience is a shared trauma and a shared resilience. I wanted to find out what drives us in the Black community forward. And what I discovered was, despite America's dark history and its lasting impacts, Black joy is always at the center. All right, cool.
My name is Chloe.
Kiara Daniels.
Chef Reginald Jacob Howe.
Jessica Johnston.
Edward Nathaniel Hill.
I'm Cecily Krosky.
Dejan Johnson.
What word comes to mind when I say Black trauma?
Ooh.
Black trauma.
What comes to mind when you say Black trauma?
One word, I would say emotional.
Relentless.
Family.
Suppression, fear sometimes.
History.
As soon as we let up, it feels like you're traumatized again.
Do you remember when your family gave you the talk, like the conversation that lets you know like you were gonna grow up different?
Yeah, in small lessons.
My dad would always say that we really need to speak a certain way. We need to be very respectful and courteous of everybody, specifically white people. We need to stay out of the way. Low key, not make a scene.
The first time you're getting pulled over, you have those talks when it becomes relevant.
I grew up in Bellevue, so driving and being pulled over while black was a thing.
I had 2 eyes, so I didn't have to have the conversation to know what the conversation was.
I remember my mom being extremely just over the top, I'm black and I'm proud. I think she was trying to counteract what the world was probably gonna give me.
Let's go back to 2020. Did you have hope after that summer?
No.
I did, a little bit.
Yes, I still do have hope.
Always have hope. You always gotta have hope.
It was like a great reveal.
Because it almost felt like everything was shook to the core, that it would create like a ripple effect of change.
It's like everything was just exposed.
I think, unfortunately, every generation will go through this. I thought that this was done, but my mom and parents thought that in the 60s too. We've been here many, many times. We've had riots. We have done this like a lot. We can paint murals, but really what I like is real change.
There is hope because it lets us know that, yes, we still have work to do.
Things don't get changed overnight. As much as we'd like them to.
We lost hope because of every bad thing that would happen. Nobody would be safe and sane.
Whether how dark it seems, hope is what kept us alive, and the way we've evolved and adapted and why we're here now is having hope.
There's this quote by James Baldwin. He said, "To be a conscious black person in America is to almost always be in a state of rage." Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No.
Very. I don't like to give my energy to rage.
I feel like every day I'm having to talk myself down to remember that love conquers all.
If we are in a constant state of rage instead of peace and love, then we are leading into the typical stereotype.
But, sometimes the rage is more frustration, especially dealing with the same situations that, happen more than often. Police brutality, issues in school, issues in the workplace.
Do you think sometimes it gets exhausting?
Yeah. But, that's why we work hard, and that's why we're so damn successful.
Yeah.
How do we as a community try to heal? How do we keep moving forward?
It starts by taking care of each other. I think that's how we survive, is taking care of each other.
The system needs to change. And I feel like that sounds so cliche, so obvious.
Knowing that it's not just about us, that it's about the young people coming behind us.
We have to be strong for not just the generation that has already passed, but the generation that's to come.
It's just bigger than just us.
I hope that the Black experience can put its arms around more hope and inspiration and not the trauma as much.
Because we're the strongest culture out there.
Everything that we do, we just add a little something special to it.
Cooking.
Where we put our flavor that we put on things.
Fashion.
Our finesse, I guess.
We are bold.
There's something about a group of people.
We are empowering.
That can push forward no matter what.
We are inspiring.
It stands out quite a bit.
We're able to turn something that was nothing into something positive, so it's a tough burden to bear. But, we've bared so many burdens. At this point, it's just like, what else can you throw at us?
It's a shared resilience.
We're gonna have our ups and downs. That's how life works.
But getting to rise up out of those ashes is the gift of getting to be Black.
Hi, my name is Blaine Sachiko Davison. I'm a producer here at King 5. As a fourth-generation Japanese American, I was glad to be able to tell the stories of the Asian American Pacific Islander community, otherwise known as AAPI. The people I interviewed, some were family friends, others leaders in the business community, but they all came from different Asian backgrounds. While we started out the conversation talking about identity, it naturally progressed into a conversation about one of the most urgent and pressing matters facing Asians today, and that is anti-Asian hate. The result was a poignant and vulnerable conversation, and I am so glad to be able to share it with you.
Sit on this chair right here. Oops. I'll have you write your name. Just... Oh my gosh. Hold it up to your face, and this thing comes down. Wow, professional.
Been waiting for this moment.
So first of all, just tell me your name and what is your ethnicity?
My name is Shell Sandana Gary, and I'm Filipino American.
My name is Raj Sundar, and I'm an Indian American.
Sam Cho, Korean American.
Mari Sugiyama, and I am Japanese American.
Do you ever feel the need to explain your identity?
Yes. I don't know where to start.
And whenever I'm asked that question, I have to explain I was born here, I'm from here.
I feel like it comes up a lot for me in terms of explaining my identity, particularly because I'm a fourth generation Japanese American born and raised in Seattle.
For me, when people ask me like what is my ethnic background, I typically just say I'm Filipino American. For racial classification, I'll say I'm Asian. Naturally, I'll just say I'm Filipino American.
Just my last name. I feel like when my parents came to America, they had to even change how they said their last name to feel like they belonged. Because in Tamil, it's Sundar, but my dad, who's a doctor, none of his patients could say his name, so he changed it to Sundar. And that's how I've always said my name, so now it's our new identity and this evolution of what it means to carry our family forward and be an Indian American here.
How do you think Asians are viewed in the United States today?
Or I would characterize it as being a perpetual foreigner.
As the good immigrant, the model minority, and even without using that term, I think it's the feeling that we are supposed to not speak up and cause trouble.
Filipinos being domestic workers, Filipinos being caregivers.
That no matter how long you've been here, how many generations removed you are from the immigrant experience, you are never fully American.
I often get the question, where are you from?
My family immigrated here in 1973.
My parents immigrated here in the 80s.
Grandparents on both sides, maternal and paternal, were incarcerated during World War II, and I think that greatly changed the trajectory of my parents. I think about how that has changed where I'm at now, and also how I view some of the things that are coming up in this day and age, different forms of racism and discrimination that they fought against.
Wanted to highlight is obviously, the last couple of years have been very tough for the Asian American community with COVID-19 and the anti-Asian hate. Things that we knew existed in our society and our culture, but was maybe not as mainstream.
What do people misunderstand about you?
People misunderstand what it means to be Indian, because what is Indian for a lot of folks is unidimensional.
People question whether Filipinos fit within being Asian because we're a different kind of Asian.
I don't eat chicken tikka masala and naan. I eat dosa and chutney and pongal.
What other kind of stereotypes do you find you have to fight?
Asians aren't really seen as leaders. We often refer to the bamboo ceiling.
I face maybe other types of racism or microaggressions.
They're quiet, they're hard workers, but they're not leaders.
School staff told our families to only speak to us in English at home. There's kind of a loss of language and a loss of culture going on there.
What makes you proud?
My family makes me really proud.
Community makes me proud.
Watching family members prepare the food and understand stories behind the food.
The dancing, the movies.
Growing up in the 90s, it was never sexy or cool to be Korean, right? But if you look today, Korean pop music is very popular. Everyone knows BTS. Everyone asks me where the best Korean barbecue is.
This desire to kind of reclaim our culture, go back to our roots and learn from the communities and the countries where our families came from.
My name is Raj Sundar.
Try it again.
My name is Mari Sugiyama. I am a proud Japanese American.
All right, I'm ready.
Sam Cho, Korean American.
My name is Raj Sundar, and I'm a proud Indian American.
My name is Shell Sandana Gary, and I'm Filipino American.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Hi, my name is Mia Hunt, and I'm a digital producer here at King 5. For this special, a group of individuals sat down with me and opened up about their unique experiences with mental health. These vulnerable conversations proved that mental health looks different for everyone, and people have distinct struggles, diagnoses, and ways to cope. I'm so glad that I get to share their words with you now.
Go ahead and sit right here.
You're talking to me like I talk to my poodle.
Just clap in front of your face. Have you done anything like this before?
Not in years.
Okay, so this should be pretty easy.
Sure.
Sure.
So I'm gonna have to start you with just introducing yourself and your mental health struggles, illnesses, diagnosis.
Hi, my name is Sean.
My name is James.
I'm Tim. Let Tim be.
My name is Robin Held, and I'm a grief coach.
Some of the mental health struggles that I've dealt with over the past several years, really my life. Some bipolar, manic depressive, depression, anxiety.
Say PTSD.
My family has dealt with mental health challenges.
So why do you think that there is still such a stigma around mental health?
It's the whole toxic culture of like, emotion is weakness and you can't be weak if you're emotional. And I feel like a lot of people can't express that or don't feel comfortable expressing that.
We're such a culture of bright-siders, right? Like, be happy. Go on, it's gonna be okay. At least it wasn't so bad. It was without being able to be with people through the nuances of all their feelings, right? It takes bravery and vulnerability to open up about how hurt your heart is or want to heal.
Like, I don't want this to have a stigma because there are a lot of people that are suffering in silence.
Are there any common misconceptions that you've seen?
At the end of the day, you did this to yourself type of thing. If you really wanted to get better, you would get better. Like this misconception that it's a matter of wanting it bad enough.
I don't believe that mental health has a certain look. I'm sure that people don't look at myself or other folks and be like, yeah, that person's, they're normal.
I found that everybody, I think, has some kind of challenge that they're working with, something inside that could come out, could be looked at, could be worked on, could be healed. I think that in and of itself is so complicated and difficult.
I think the conversation surrounding mental health in America is
unfair.
I think it's not talked about enough.
If I wanted help for like mental health, I couldn't just walk into an emergency room and ask for help.
You might have access, but you're not necessarily getting the quality of care, of time and attention that is really gonna help you long run.
What did you find really helped?
What really helped was people just being patient with me. People that validated me and were willing to like process with me.
And I try to make sure that when I share it, it's not just for me. I like working with people. I like helping the people that they don't have a voice or they're too afraid or nervous to use their voice.
Community. Since I came to Seattle, I have found a community. I found people that accept me for who I am, and I accept them for who they are, and forming that bond, that friendship, that trust, which for me is not easy.
I would say just be with your person in their pain. Don't try and ease the pain. Be with them. Just fully be with them. Let them know that they can trust you in their darkness as well as in their light.
I struggle with mental illness, but I am more than that. I am
worthy of love, honor, and respect.
I am a work in progress. I am a human being, but inside, the stuff that you can't take out and touch, you're not going to be able to hold under a microscope or up in the light.
I would say that I've made significant progress in loving myself and just allowing myself to just accept myself for who I am. Yeah.
My name is Taylor Pomisel, and I'm a producer at King 5. There are 42.5 million people in the United States living with a disability. This piece features just 3 of them, their stories, and their hope for the future where those living with a disability are treated as equals.
A little closer.
Closer, 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 closer.
You can turn your chair kind of more center. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Marvin.
Hello, Marvin.
Tim, you gotta use your buttons to answer their questions, okay? I know I can understand you, but they don't know your language yet.
But we're hoping to learn by the end of the day.
Tim, I'm gonna make an assumption about your diagnosis, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. Do you have CP or cerebral palsy?
Give me a second and I will answer your question. Yes.
And cerebral palsy is part of why you're somewhat limited verbally and chair-bound.
Yes.
I wasn't really born with CP. When I was 3 weeks old, they discover I have a hernia, so they operate. And I didn't get enough oxygen.
And that's how you developed your cerebral palsy.
I have a hearing loss.
Were you born with it?
Yes. Yeah.
So my brother Zachary's cerebral palsy has him wheelchair bound, it has him nonverbal. He has the brain function of roughly a 2-year-old. He's older than me, so I was born into this world, I was born into this community.
I think there are a lot of people out there who, when they see someone who has a diagnosis, immediately perceives them as living a life that is more challenged than everybody else's. By default, they just assume that. But you don't see it that way.
I don't believe that individuals that are living with disabilities struggle because they're disabled. I believe and know for a fact that individuals living with disabilities struggle because we live in a society that doesn't allow them to access and engage with all the facets of our world the way that you and I do. You've met Marvin and Tim, they're both chair-bound. I think it would be really bizarre to try to pretend like they're not sitting in a wheelchair. Like, they're individuals who utilize wheelchairs to get around. There isn't shame in that. We can talk about it. I think it's just also important that we don't only talk about that.
How would you like to be treated?
Just like everybody else. The only difference is that I am in a wheelchair.
Nicer. I just enjoy to be my own guardian. I am happy what I'm doing.
I hate the word normal.
There is no normal. We're all abnormal. So rather than having someone come up to you like they would any normal person, you just want someone to come up to you like they would any person. And you can even open the dialogue or open the interaction with, hey, I'm Tori, just so you know, I'm pretty new to this world, but I'm trying to kind of get more involved or get more engaged with individuals like yourself. I'm wondering if you could just tell me about yourself. I think it's people are so scared of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing that they end up doing nothing. I've watched so many individuals' own perceptions of this community shift once they meet my brother. I've watched that their own biases or their own expectations completely shatter when they actually put a face and a person to the name of, disability. And I wonder if that would be the same for our audience today, kind of engaging with this video.
Tim, that's a wrap. You crushed it.
Woohoo! That was so fun.
Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, my name is Alex McLeod. I'm a producer here at King 5. This piece aims to highlight some of the diverse people who make up the LGBTQ+ population here in Western Washington, how they grew into who they are today, and their hopes for the future.
Not really.
Okay, intimidated by the cameras and the lights and everything?
Definitely.
Good. Go ahead and hand me this.
Okay.
Ooh, do I get to snap it and everything?
All right.
Hi.
Just go ahead and say your name and how you identify.
My name is
Yeah, well, my name's Mark Shelfo.
Jessica Alalawi.
I am Ari,
My name is Victor Lu.
Nas Alalawi.
Identify as non-binary.
non-binary.
And identify as a queer individual.
Also refer to myself as a capital Q queer.
And I identify as a trans woman.
57 years old, gay white male, I guess.
My pronouns are they, them. They're tattooed on my wrist.
Was there a significant memory or time in your life where you realized that maybe you were a little bit different from your people that were around you?
I knew that I was trans since I was a very young child.
I really came to my queerness slowly, if not in actions, then in understanding.
Having feelings for other men, and I didn't know how to express it, and the way I was raised, I felt it was wrong, and sometimes I still do have like a battle within me.
I grew up in the Midwest, and it was tougher growing into my own identity when I was there.
Growing up in Singapore was very, very challenging because you cannot be gay at that time.
I didn't have anybody to look to be like, okay, if I don't think I'm trans and I know I'm not cis and I don't know where that is in the middle.
We don't have the words for that. I didn't have the words for that until I was in my teenage years. And by that time, I was scared to be trans.
And at that time, I went to a sheikh, which is like a priest, to talk about my feelings. I almost was killed because of it.
There were people that were beat and bashed in Minneapolis when I was growing up there.
I think being a minority as well, given that I'm a Southeast Asian of Chinese descent, I want to say barriers and discrimination as a gay person, gender non-conforming individual as well as an immigrant.
Would you say, since coming here, do you feel generally safe in Washington or in Seattle?
Where I'm from, we get prosecuted. It's illegal and outcasted to be just who we are. When I actually arrived to Seattle and I started living here and I started seeing people living out and proud, that moment when I was like, you know what, this is just me and it's okay to be who I am.
I think that's challenging. I, like a lot of people, came to Seattle specifically because I think Seattle is sort of understood to be a safe space, particularly for the LGBTQ plus community.
Personally, myself, I feel pretty safe. People don't try to pick on me. I'm not an easy target. And I get that. It's part of my privilege.
When I look at other states and the more than 500 anti-trans bills in America right now, I'm glad that those bills aren't necessarily coming from my state. Does that make me feel safer in America? No. Does that make me safer in my home? A little bit, yes.
What do people, generally get wrong about the LGBTQ plus community?
We're seen as this monolith, and that is so inaccurate.
People may just see a small slice of it and think that's what it is. And it's so much more rich.
There is already a connectiveness of identity and culture.
We just humans, we just people like you, and we just try to live our lives.
Do you feel hopeful?
Not always, but I can get to feel hopeful because my frame of mind of how I feel can be a part of a choice.
I do feel hopeful. I think the younger generation are not just listening to whatever being told.
And I wholeheartedly believe in community and the power of people working together. To me, that is hopeful.
I see young people making so much progress. I see the work that they're doing. I see the way that they are able to come into themselves at an earlier age.
We just continue to fight the good fight for equity.
But whatever you're doing and whoever you are and however you're doing it to support yourself, to keep yourself safe, to keep your community safe, to keep your loved ones safe, you're doing enough if you're doing that.
We are people, we are humans. We love and we would like to be loved.
If there's a community you would like us to feature, please reach us at race@king5.com. For King 5, I'm photojournalist Joseph Huerta.